Hello, everyone, and welcome to Marigold Academy's podcast. I'm Ms. Joan, and today we're going to be discussing a very important topic. We're going to be exploring human ready education. We're going to be looking at the strengths, we're going to be looking at the emotional agility, and we're going to be looking at positive psychology as the inner operating system for learning. So that's what we're going to be discussing today. And I welcome everyone who is listening to this podcast. Thank you for taking out the time to watch and to listen. We're really honored to have you as our listeners and our viewers. And today, joining me on this podcast, we have a very special guest, and she's a transformation manager and a holistic coach. Our guest is Miss Noel. Thank you very much for joining us on this podcast today. We are really honored to have you here. Thank you so much. So, without wasting any time, let's dive deep into the podcast. Okay. So the first thing we'll be looking at is, I'm sure a lot of you are wondering, what do we mean by human ready education, right? When I first saw the topic, I was like, okay, what are we referring to as human ready education? Hasn't our educational system been something that has been preparing students for, let's say, for jobs or for their future? But the question is, our educational system is really not catering to the needs of our students in that manner anymore. And I believe our guest speaker will also agree with me in that light. So, what do we mean by human ready education? We mean an education that is going to equip our students, right? That's going to give them all the resources, all the skills that they need so that they can survive in an environment that is ever changing. So, equipping them with skills, not just academic knowledge, right? Equipping them with skills like communication, equipping them with skills like emotional intelligence, equipping them with skills like team building and all of that. So that's what human ready education is all about. Not just giving our students knowledge, but equipping them with the skills because, to be honest, our world is changing and changing very fast. Okay, and a lot of people, we are not ready for how the world has changed. That's why you see so many people are kind of fighting the idea of AI or artificial intelligence. And the reason is because many people, yeah, we were not ready for it. We just thought the world is going to continue going in that same, let's say, single direction. But the world is changing. Okay, so the way people got jobs in like 20 years ago, it's not the same way they're getting jobs now, right? So we need to really look into our educational system, and then we need to help our students so that they can really get the actual value of their academics or the money they're paying for their education. They can get that value. Because if someone is going to school and then you graduate and then you're unable to land a job, I believe everyone will feel that they've been either cheated or they've wasted their money, they've wasted their time. So human ready education is one that's going to help our students to be ready for the future, equip them with everything they need. They're going to have a sound educational knowledge, and then they're going to have all the skills that they need to flourish and to thrive in an environment that is constantly changing. Okay, so another thing I'm going to briefly discuss before I start asking our guests some of the important questions is, what do we mean by the inner operating system? So the inner operating system, I'm sure people who are listening will be like, okay, I thought operating system had to do with just computers, right? How come human beings are now being referred to or as the inner operating system? We don't literally mean humans have an operating system. It's like a metaphor, meaning that the same way the operating system is what determines how that computer is going to work, right? It's the same way the beliefs and the virtues that we build in an individual is going to determine how that individual is going to react and how that individual is going to cope and survive in this life. Okay, so the first question I have for our guest is, let me read the question out. So, what is your view on emotional agility and emotional intelligence as it relates to the current educational system?
Yeah, first, let's go back about the education. It means
Okay,
if we are students, we always we learn actually how to pass exams, how
exactly.
to do the subject, how to be ready for the exam, especially when it's a national one or a big one, or moving, transitioning from high school to college or to university. All of that is part of the curriculum. We learn all that, but nobody actually teach you how to be ready for a bad day, how to deal with your feelings, how to
Exactly.
continue, let's say how to stay focused on your study while you are, because, if you are 8 hours at school or 6 hours or 4 hours, afterwards you are into this, let's say, bubble, into that environment, but then you need to go into real life where you deal with friends, with family, you lead with loss, with the new challenges, with whatever life, brought to you. And you need to have something that is that you learn as well, because that's what, for me, I was an IT engineer, so I was always, studying IT, being in
Okay.
information system, having lead in, digital transformation. But nobody teach me how to deal with my own feeling, how to deal, when I miss a target, how I deal with stress, with overthinking, with loss, with grief,
Exactly.
all of that. And if you are spending 20 years of your life at school without having this human part learn and develop, then you are not equipped. Because,
Exactly.
when we open the door to job and position, then it is the KPIs. This is the target. This is the this is the
Exactly.
performance. You are assessed about this and this. And how can you handle that if you never learn it? And that's why what it comes, Joanne, to emotional agility. So emotional agility is about making peace with your feelings, understand what my feelings is telling me, because it's
Mm.
like going to the operating system and comparing it, to a computer. It's an input. It's telling you something. It's
Yeah.
telling you something is wrong. It's telling you I need a break. It's telling you I don't understand this. How to
Exactly.
with those feelings. So emotional agility is very important. And then comes the part about positive psychology. Positive
Yeah.
psychology, most of people think it's like the magical pill that I need to be every time happy and positive and enthusiastic, but it's not. It's learning actually about hope, about resilience,
Yeah.
about that, I put the effort, I will get somewhere. So this is positive psychology. And you need these, and for me, first I saw it as a triangle, like positive
Okay.
psychology with emotional agility, that all of these, but for me, I see it now actually as a circle, and you add to it on top, understanding your strength. Because
Okay.
when you are leading with strength, you go very far compared when you are leading with weaknesses,
Yeah,
because
that's
then
true.
you are exactly. And I think there is also part of the system of the exams is showing you here, and where we are like negatively biased.
Exactly.
Whatever
We
we have
are.
AAs, we will stick to the one where we have an
Yeah, that's
F.
very true. That's true.
And then where the strength, coming up. So I see it really as a circle. And
Wow.
I feel we need, as part of the curriculum, as much as I am preparing you to the exam, as much I'm preparing you to the job market, to reaching, this dream job, to the competence, to the skills, I need also to have the human side also developed at the same level, basically. That's where I'm coming, Joanne.
Okay. Thank you so much for the answer. Wow, I can say I really learned some things from what you just said. Okay, so you even went to the next point. We wanted to start discussing about positive psychology. And I like something that you said. So many people believe once we're talking about positive psychology, right, we just have to be happy all the time. But that's not what positive psychology has to do. Even though the broad field of positive psychology has to do with the study of what makes people feel joy, it doesn't really throw away the fact that we are human beings, because under positive psychology, you have happiness, you have well-being, you have your strengths, you have your virtues. So it's something that's encompassing. It's not something that just looks at you being always happy, happy, happy. It looks at how to strengthen your weak areas, and then so that you can be truly and genuinely happy. So, like you said,
Correct.
positive psychology has many fields. I already listed some: happiness and well being, strengths and virtues, flow, hope and optimism. And like you said, one of the very important like concepts of positive psychology is hope. Because if a student is studying and then you don't have the hope that you're going to pass their exams, you're not even going to do very well on that exams, and it's going to be a real problem. And hope for me, it's not just the driving force for just our academics. It's what drives every other area of our lives, including our family relationships, our work, our school, and all of that. So hope is a factor that we really need to begin to teach students that no matter what happens, even if they fail an exam, right? There is still hope because that's just a stepping stone to train them and to make them to become better people. So you also touched on one of the points that we're going to discuss shortly, which has to do with what we perceive as academic success. So, for a long time, many people look at academic success as just getting all good grades. Like you said, someone gets all A's, and then if you have like maybe one poor grade, you're like, oh, I didn't really do very well. Yeah. So, I think in the educational sector, we really need to rephrase what academic success means, and we should look at it kind of holistically. Because if you have someone who has all A's but doesn't know how to communicate very well with his or her classmates or with the lecturers or with the professors, that person doesn't really have true academic success. So we want our students to be holistic, right? So we want them to do well academically, like you said. It's not that we want you to throw away all the knowledge because knowledge is very important, but we want you to add to that knowledge because whenever you add to that knowledge, you're going to actually be better. So, like you said, there's a story. One time, one of the professors in the university where I attended, she was complaining, and she was like that many times when students get a positive grade, let's say they receive their semester results and they have like A's, 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 they'll be like, oh, I got an A, I got a B in this class and all of that. But when they see one bad grade, they'll be like, the teacher gave me this bad grade. And I was like, it's very true because if students are taught to really understand the true value of success, you don't accept just the successes alone. You also accept the failures because you're the one who wrote that exam, right? You're the one who, it was not the teacher that wrote it. And the teacher had a marking scheme that if you did not write the correct answer to, there's no way you'll be graded just for sitting that exam. So I feel this stems from the fact that we have a flawed mindset of what academic success is. And that's why many people, we just want to have the A's. And then even when we don't do well, we don't put in our best efforts, we still don't want to take the blame. Okay, we like to push it to other people. So that brings me to my second question.
Yeah.
And the question is, how can schools foster a growth mindset in students? Because basically, understanding of success has to stem from that growth mindset. So how do you think that schools can foster a growth mindset in their students?
Yeah, for me, it go back actually to Clifton Strength. I studied that, and basically the story of Donald Clifton is very, let's say, revealing. He was, during the war, the Second War, he was into a training facility, a military training facility. And
Okay.
basically what he saw, and that will be coming back, to the education. He saw that, let's say those people who were trained, the ones who were exceeding, that afterwards, when they are actually on the field, they were failing. And vice
Oh,
versa, the ones actually who were failing, they were succeeding. So the strength, of leadership or leading people or having, this hope, pushing them forward, getting them into the focus was not about looking what went wrong, is looking to what is actually right. So if I know, for example, Joanne, that your strength, as you said, are communication, are you are the one actually who put the people together, who is the glue, because you find always somebody who is the glue in a team. So
yeah.
if I start with that, saying like your first day at school, Joanne, you will be coming with a sticker saying, I am Joanne, and my strengths are communication. I am a learner. I'm curious. I'm hopeful. I'm the one actually who connects people. Instead of going, like we were talking about the bias, that instead of looking actually where I am failing, for example, in history, you are not failing. Let's say you are average in history, but you are exceeding, in languages, in writing. So instead of focusing and starting to get you a tutor to you, into exceeding into this subject where you are average. So I can help you get, a better grade in that. That's fine. But the best way actually is talent. where
Yeah.
you are good at, and there actually, and I can tell you, how many studies has that you can go from instinctive into from the talent, and you can what you were, because that's your strength. So I am developing your strength, and when I develop your strength, there is no limit. Basically, it's
Wow.
100% success, and that's where the strengths are very important when you understand them. And then when you start your day saying, I'm great in communication, I'm great in this. And, I can tell you that the survey on Clifton, on Gallup Clifton Strength are done on millions of people and children, and not children actually, on, let's say, young adults who start their day knowing their strength are 6% more actually achieving than the ones who start with, I don't know where I am today,
Wow, that's an
or with the
interesting
ones
point.
where we are telling them, you are bad at English and you need to succeed in English, although you could see that, I'm great at geography, or I'm great in knowing distances, or in, let's say, in science, in biology, in a little bit, knowing your strengths, focused on what you do instinctively, where you don't count the time, where you can stay reading this book for hours
Yeah.
and without thinking, oh, I need to stop, or it's too hard, or I need
Mhm.
to, close myself into a room to do it. So that's where the shift is thinking. So that's where the strength actually are coming also into the picture, Joanne. So it's all these circle, and all of that you can teach and you can learn and you can develop actually into anybody. It means for me, I just learned it last year, and I can tell you it changed totally my life and the way I see, leadership, how I see digital transformation, uh, all the focus is suddenly like you open your eyes and you see, yeah, that's me. I am good at all of this.
Yeah. Thank you so much for that insight. Like you said, you when someone notices their strengths, right? In my opinion, I feel it gives them like a superpower. So the way we watch, when we watch superheroes in the movies, we like to look up to them because they have this like unique ability that makes them to, let's say, for example, Iron Man is very strong, and then he can use he's a genius, right? So we don't know that the superheroes we're watching on TV, everyone is like a superhero, but the difference between the normal human beings and the people we perceive as superheroes is the fact that they have recognized their strengths and then they've worked on it and then they've built it. So I believe everybody deserves to find their inner superhero so that they can become better. And like you said, many times when you study students who are actually like top perform very well in school, it's because they've discovered what they're really good at. They've discovered their strengths. That's why they lean into it and then they do very well. So the reason why some of those other students are not doing well is not necessarily like you said that they are dull or they're failing at English, is because that place that we are grading them in is not their area of strength. So if we lean into their area of strength, you discover that wow, nobody really is dull. Everybody is a genius and everybody has that inner superpower. Thank you so much for that insight. So let's proceed to the next point. So you already spoke earlier about managing emotions, which I believe a lot of students are kind of, well, I say they're like a dry well when we come to that point. Many students don't know how to manage their emotions. Sometimes some students take a bad grade to the point where you're surprised at the negative things they begin to say about themselves. You're surprised at the way they begin to look at themselves just because of one bad grade or one bad report. So I think we really need to begin to teach our students how to manage their emotions. And then before I ask the next question, in my opinion, I feel before anyone should act, let's say you got a very bad grade, you were expecting, let's say, like an A, and then you've discovered you got like a D. So you should always leave space in between your emotions and your actions. Okay, there should be that space between your emotions and your actions. You might be feeling very upset, feeling, oh, I put in a lot of effort, and then it's like nothing came back. That's why hope is very important because when you have hope, you'll be able to give yourself some space and say, okay, maybe I didn't really understand all of the material, but then I still tried my best. And then that space between your emotions and your actions, you take it to self reflect. You take it to be honest with yourself, right? If you know you didn't study enough, tell yourself the truth. Study enough next time. If you know maybe you studied a lot and then the material was just too difficult for you to comprehend, then when you do that self-reflection, you give yourself some grace and then you know, okay, maybe I need to still seek help, maybe get tutoring, or maybe I need to just meet my classmates who that's their area of strength, right? And then they can help me, and then I'm also leaning and benefiting from other people's strengths. Okay, so I'll ask the next question.
Yeah, can I just add something, Joanne, about the
Exactly.
feeling? So
Exactly, you can
in
add.
emotional agility, actually, you know, let's say if you have something to learn, is that when you name your emotion, then it is less, then you accept it better. Instead of saying, I fail, you say, I'm noticing that I
Okay.
have the thought that I am failing. And it changed everything, actually, how you frame it. Because saying I am a failure, because that's where it goes. You start with having a D into, I am a failure. I will not succeed anything. I cannot my dream job. And then, you have the whole circle. But if you pause and you name the emotion and never say I am, say I'm noticing this,
Yeah,
and then reframe the whole way, because most of the time we are very harsh, how we talk to ourselves.
exactly.
And I have like a little sticker actually on my laptop saying, would you talk the same as your best friend? Would you talk to yourself the
To
same as you would talk to your
your best friend, yeah.
to your best friend? Yeah, we are, if somebody or a friend, come to us and say, look, I did this wrong, or I said this thing into the meeting and I felt this, you will start, coming up with so many encouraging,
Exactly.
words and so on. But when it comes to us, we will be like, no, you are failing and you are this and you are this and you are this. So first
Exactly.
thing really is, if you fail into a subject, and that happens to everybody, sometimes we are
Exactly.
super ready, but when you sit into that, you are so much stressed and there is so much pressure and so much, expectation on you,
Mm.
that you will just blank out in front of the exam paper, even though you spend, I don't know how many hours studying. So there is
Yeah.
also this learning which goes to emotional, is how to deal with this pressure, how to name the feeling, when you are going through the pressure, and how to be, as you said, hope, compassionate. Be compassionate about, towards yourself. Yes, I did my best. Yes, I will do
Exactly.
better next time. So that's why, if you are, and I feel it's not only helpful for the student, but helpful for the educators themselves.
Exactly.
We forget that the teachers are also humans,
Yeah.
that they need day in, day out to be present into this school class, in this classroom, and, be there for everybody, even though, I don't know, you had 10 hours to reach the school and
Mhm.
you didn't sleep last night and you had stress with your children, but you need to stand up and be a leader. So these teachers, they need also help in that matter as well. And I can tell you the leaders and go and go.
Exactly.
So everybody can benefit developing basically these small things. They are not big, and they don't. You don't need a big, let's say, I don't know, investment into developing this. There have been, so many research just put in. I think in every school in the world there is a board somewhere in a classroom where you can put just, let's say, some where you can put some words. Today we will be thanking everyone in school, or
Mhm.
I will be smiling to everyone at school, or I will be kind to myself today. And you
Yeah.
cannot imagine the effect actually that does not only on the classroom, but on the teacher and
As
even
well.
actually the school at large.
Yeah.
Just small things that you
Mhm.
can do.
Well,
So,
you've already gone ahead to answer the last question I wanted to ask you, which was how can we
yeah, go
integrate
ahead.
social, emotional learning for students into the curriculum? You already answered it. So this brings us to the end of this podcast. This podcast has been very interesting, very educative, very I hope we all enjoyed listening to it. Thank you so much, Miss Nawal, for coming here and for joining us on this podcast. We are really grateful. We are honored to have you here. Thank you so much,
Oh,
and
thank you.
we appreciate
Thank you,
you.
Joanne. And I hope that that if there is some, let's say, some last sentence, that someone, to remember is, as you said, is to discover your superpowers,
Yeah,
make peace with your emotions, and then dream big. Once you have done
exactly.
this, then dream big. And I
Exactly.
feel small changes done every day, can make a big difference in everybody's life, really.
Okay, so thank you so much, Ms. Noel. We are really grateful. We appreciate you. To those who listen to this podcast, thank you for listening. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And we hope to see you in our next podcast. Have a great day. Bye.
Thank you so much, Joanne. Take care. Bye bye. Bye,
Bye.
everybody. Bye. Bye.